This is me, Dre. Now, this is my third video in regards to the incident that happened at Spring Valley High School in Columbia, South Carolina, where Deputy Ben Fields slammed the young lady because she refused to leave the classroom. Now, in this whole debate with everyone, there are a lot of people that are appalled by his actions because this is an 18-year-old girl. Yes, she refused to leave the classroom upon request from the teacher as well as other school administrators. So then they called resource officer Ben Fields to remove her from the classroom. Now, I've tried to do as much research because, again, this isn't me as a black man trying to defend a black girl, although when you look at certain situations, I do see where a lot of people, mostly whites and non-blacks, and there are some blacks that feel like she was disrespectful, unruly. Honestly, when you watch the video, it doesn't require seeing a before portion of the video to where she may have, quote unquote, been unruly, but she's been called a thug. And when you look at this, even after the officer picks her up, slams her, then tosses her, and then cuffs her, you don't hear anything from her. She doesn't scream out in pain. She doesn't scream out in protest. She is not necessarily cooperative because she's going through some things, having lost her mother. So there's a lot of people that are very judgmental, not knowing her situation. But again, this is a young black woman, and I saw a video where there was a young white girl who was in a police station or whatever, or a detention hall or a detention center, and she was already cuffed. So you already know she fucked up because she was cuffed, and she refused to sit down. So the officer, she was already backed up against the seat. So the officer kind of shoved his hand into her gut, sat her down, and then she kicked him in the shin. And he picked up and slammed her, planted her face first. Now, that was excessive. However, I have no sympathy for her because she actually assaulted the officer. She kicked him, and it wasn't out of momentum, like from being pushed backwards. She kicked him in malice and with malicious intent. So he grabbed her, and he slammed her ass. So a lot of people were defending the student because she was white. And it's not just white people that were defending. There was also black people that were defending. But when you look at this situation where a young black girl who is going through some things, and people didn't know that until now, and she didn't want to leave out of the classroom, and the officer was stepped in. Now, I've done my research. I try to get as much information as possible so I don't sound like I'm speaking out of emotion or defending because she's black. It's fucked up what happened to this young lady. Because people who say that she deserved it are the same assholes that are promoting violence against children. And they wouldn't say the same shit if that was their child. There's no way. There's some people that are saying, I would shake the officer's hand. No, you wouldn't. Because you'd be a shit parent if you did. Either which way, there was a member for NASRO, the National Association of School Resource Officers, who spoke out. He's from the chapter in Baltimore, and he said that Ben Fields overstepped his bounds. So I decided to go to their website, and there's another gentleman that tried to say that it was a fictitious site. I provided him with the information so that he can see for himself, but because I provided facts and he didn't want to hear it from a black man, he insisted that it cannot be real. So I wanted to show everyone this information right here. This is NASRO.org, and when you go to their page, it's busy. There's a lot of information. However, when you look over here, National Association of School Resource Officers, read NASRO's position statement on police involvement in student discipline, which provides important information on best practices for school policing. This is where I went because I wanted to provide information. When you go to this, and I posted this link for several people to read for themselves, you have to go no further where it says a clear and concise memorandum of understanding is essential. Every law enforcement agency that places an officer in a school should have in place a memorandum of understanding, MOU, signed by the heads of both law enforcement agency and the educational institution. NASRO recommends that the MOU require that all school resource officers be carefully selected law enforcement officers who have received specialized SRO training in the use of police power and authority in a school environment. Clearly define the roles of the SRO to include those of law enforcement officer, teacher, and formal counselor. This is the one where people refuse to accept what I've been trying to point out to them. Prohibit SROs from becoming involved in formal school discipline situations that are the responsibility of school administrators. That means if the teachers and other administrators cannot handle a student, the SRO is not supposed to step in no way, shape, or form. The SRO is there because there might be a situation where you have the likes of a Eric Harris, a Dylan Klebold, or an Adam Lancer stepping onto school property with firearms with the intent to kill administrators or staff or members of the student populace. That's what the SRO is there for in the school. He is not there to slap the child on the hand when they get unruly. If two kids get into an argument or even in a scuffle, yes, they can step in and break up the fight. But in terms of detaining, that is not their job. And we already saw one instance from a few weeks ago in somewhere here in Texas where I live, where an SRO put his hands on the neck of a student, and he should be fired. Ben Fields was fired because he violated this. This site right here is not bullshit. This is an official site. So for those who still insist that he should be on the job because he's doing his job, this right here tells you that he did not do his job. And for that reason, he was rightfully fired. The NASRO organization washed their hands of him because he violated their policies. That's why he got fired. And there should be a criminal investigation. The school district should be sued because they involved him when they knew he shouldn't be involved. And the police department should be sued. My train of thought is, if this was my child, and my kids are not perfect, no one's kids are perfect. But if my child is sitting in a classroom and she's silent, she's not cussing out the teacher, she's not causing a tremendous scene. I mean, I understand that it's disruptive if the teacher has to stop class to try to get a child to leave. But if my child is disrupting in that manner, then that's something that I deal with in the privacy of my home. But to have a cop slam my child and toss my child, anyone should know that's bullshit. But there seems to be a double standard or an exception, because if it was a white child and a black cop that did this, all of white America would have been bent the fuck out of shape. That's the double standard that I talk about in America. If this was a child of color and a white cop did this, everyone in America would be high-fiving a cop because all of a sudden the child isn't raised right by the parent. And as the point that I made is you have kids from two-parent homes such as Adam Lancer, Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris. White kids that walked into a school and killed people. So if it's bad parenting for a young black girl who really didn't cause much of a scene, then what about those white kids that killed people? Which is worse? Anyway, if you like this video, hope that you like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook. Peace.